I snooped through my girlfriend's laptop and saw her disgusting comments about me. My girlfriend and I met on a dating app 3 years ago. We went on a date, started hooking up and began dating. I thought she showed pretty much every green flag I could ever imagine. Today she was working on her computer and left for the gym. She has put on some weight and I have urged her to start hitting the gym. Either way, for some reason she left her laptop on. It was on the kitchen counter so I had to move it, and I saw a Google Drive folder shared with a bunch of people that was actually titled Smoke Darts Eat Farts, Super Duper Secret Edition. I know I should absolutely not have looked, but my curiosity got the better of me. Basically it was a folder shared with her friend group from college, which is about 10 girls and super close. There were a lot of subfolders. I looked at a document that was titled We Love Being Out of Pocket. It was massive and there were subheadings for different topics. It seemed like a collection of out-of-pocket things any of them had said. Each one was cited with the name of which one of them had said it. As I was scrolling through I saw my name under a subheading EMN. Here's what it said. He seems like the kind of man to purchase Tinder Gold. I feel like he jacks it to his own Instagram stories. There's no way that at least once in his life he hasn't taken a girl's period product out with his teeth. All comments were all signed with my girlfriend's name. I'd felt bad about snooping until then, but after that I really wanted to see if there was anything else about me. I looked through the rest of that file and there were insults about basically everyone they'd ever met, including about every man my girlfriend had ever been with, and many insults about how men are this and that. There was also a folder with presentations. It seemed like my girlfriend had made and presented before each semester in college. They were all titled something like roster or to list and the date, and they had a slide for every man she was talking to, as well as a recap for whoever she'd slept with over break. Of course I was there, with my full name and pics of me and a picture of my car too. The only description of me was 5 out of 10, bought me vodka and let me use a flavored rubber. There were also a lot of pics and videos of them doing illegal and disgusting things, such as vandalizing cars, and one of the girls laughing about the time she stole money from her grandma for cigarettes. There were some very mean things about other men they knew, like ranking them on the broke boy loser scale. The only other thing I saw about me was in a folder titled Life-Changing Moments that had a list for each of them. There were a lot of insane things in my girlfriend's that I'd never heard about, such as the fact she was the victim of gang rape, and the fact she has gotten the clap before. There was also one about me which basically said, F'd him and realized I needed to get out of my hot girl summer era if I didn't want to end up being a sad sack of crap too. That is the one that really got me, as it seems so much meaner than everything else, and I have no idea what she meant by it. It was getting close to the time she would be back though, so I just closed everything and locked her laptop. She got back, I didn't mention anything, and we just did dinner as normal. I snooped through my girlfriend's laptop and saw her disgusting comments about me. I decided that I needed to confront her because the situation was upsetting me a lot. I decided that I was going to ask her about the 5 out of 10 rating because it honestly hurt my pride a lot, and ask her about the sad sack of crap comment because that was the one that seemed meanest. I was also going to ask her in general if she actually wanted to be with me. It would also have been a deal breaker if she kept updating the document with stuff about me after we'd started dating. I also realized that I wanted to F with her a bit. I've never met anyone who takes it better than her. Anytime I've seen people making jokes about her she takes it very well and enjoys it, so I didn't think it would upset her too much. The day after I read the comments on her laptop, we didn't see each other until dinner. I'd been a bit weird all day over text but she didn't think much of it and just asked me if I was okay. I devised my plan at this point, so over dinner I dropped that I was considering buying a LinkedIn Plus subscription for networking. She gave me a side eye like I had never seen before and asked me why on earth I would do that. I saw her later texting her group chat. I didn't see what, but I was pretty sure it was about that. That night, we were trying out something new in the bedroom, and as we were cuddling after, I asked her if she was open to something when she was on her period. She asked me what, and I asked if I could take her period product out with my teeth, as I'd seen a lot on social media about it. She looked like she was actually going to scream but held it in and said sure. The next day she seemed suspicious, so I decided to really finish it off. She went to work and I had the day off, so I decided to really go to town on my Instagram story. I post a lot of aesthetic pictures that I do spend a lot of time taking. I think that comment in her doc was probably because on our first date I took some pics for my Instagram story, and she said something like, oh yeah, I like those, and I said, hey, they're not really good enough, and she laughed at me even at the time. So anyways, that day I roamed around the city to all my favorite aesthetic spots and posted probably 10 or so stories, which I imagine annoyed everyone a lot. She slid up on them and by the 10th one she said, damn, you're really going to effing town on these today. So I replied something like, yeah, it gets me in the mood, you know, to which she replied with a confused emoji. At this point I think she'd caught on, and I had honestly been acting a bit off too because my pride was still a little bruised, and I was also regretting having snooped. That night, she came to my place with my favorite dinner and subtly asked me if there was anything I wanted to talk about. At this point I laid it out for her, and I prefaced it with apologizing for snooping, but that the title of the document had caught my eye. She looked absolutely mortified but was also laughing and kept apologizing. I laid out my 3 concerns to her, and she told me that the 5 out of 10 was truthful at the time, but she did like me a lot. The sad sack of crap comment was about all the people she knew who only effed around and never had real relationships, and that sleeping with me made her realize that she would much prefer to be in a relationship with someone like me, but that she thought she'd squandered her chances by hooking up with me instead, and that yes, obviously she loved and liked and respected me a lot. She also invited me to look through the folder freely, and that she wasn't ashamed of anything in there, just embarrassed that I'd seen those comments about myself. I checked and there was nothing in there about me since we'd started dating. The only stuff was from when we'd hooked up. She also pointed out a document that I hadn't looked at before. It was in a folder titled Rankings and each girl had a doc in there. She only let me look at hers, but it was basically a ranking of every person she'd ever been involved with in any way with comments. I was first, and where for everyone else there was a list of pros and cons, mine just said love him 20 also. It seemed like they would all comment on each other's to argue about the ranking, but mine just had comments from all the girls pretty much affirming the choice and praising me. So I was pretty satisfied with what I saw, and it also seems like they only update it now with stories, gossip, or pictures and no insults or anything else like that. My girlfriend was overall mortified and extremely apologetic, and I was also apologetic about looking through it, and told her she could look through anything I owned if she wanted, but she turned me down. She wasn't upset about the snooping at all, and said that she had nothing to hide and that she would have done the same thing if she'd seen a folder as artfully and intriguingly named as theirs.